Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Marketer's Blueprint podcast. I am your host, Nathan Gibson, and of course, I have with me yet again Mr. Gabe Arnold. Gabe, how's the week been?
Fantastic. It's starting to be springtime here. I got outside for a walk today, and I've had awesome connection with our clients this week. Lots of great conversations.
Yeah, same here. It has just been a trend, guys. Every time I start a new episode, things are going great. 2025 has been killing it for us, and we hope it has been the same way for you. And like you said, the springtime air, the fresh air, even that little briskness in the air is really refreshing to me. But the sun shining is always, advantageous. So,
Yeah.
with that being said, we have an excellent episode planned for you guys today that I'm going to kick off with a question for you, Gabe. So this will relate to a lot of the things that we have to talk about today. So Gabe, in your experience, how often should you review and update your marketing for your business?
I would say once a year is a great cycle from a strategic planning standpoint, because you should design and strategically implement things and then follow them through for the course of the year.
Right.
And definitely on a couple times a month, look at how you're progressing. But as far as like setting a new direction or committing to something, I always encourage people, be strategic, do your market research, get the right support, from somebody like us or whoever you have that is the best fit for you, around designing your marketing strategy, and commit to doing that for the year and then monitor it against your goals. You may need to pivot and adjust, but don't fall in the trap of pivoting too much just because you're bored or anxious or it's not working yet. But it's definitely something that requires an annual refresh without question, and then nurturing and leadership and structure and support throughout the whole year.
Yeah, I think that's really important. Like an annual refresh is almost mandatory, we would say, as a business owner, but that doesn't mean you take a look at it once a year and optimize it and never look at it through the year. You should always be keeping an eye on your campaigns and your performances and staying true to your processes, but not getting caught up in trends is what I always say.
Yeah.
But the thing is, for me, and what I think a lot of business owners experience, is that it's not always obvious if your marketing is out of date. But the thing is if your marketing is kind of, like stuck in the past, it can not only cost you valuable money and time, which, as we know, is the most valuable resource, but it also can make your brand look outdated or maybe even irrelevant. So that's why in today's episode, we're going to be breaking down. I have 5 outdated marketing mistakes we see in business all too often, especially as we get into 2025, and what to do instead. And I'll also get some of your hot takes as well. But before that, Gabe, you know what time it is. It's time for the Marketing Minute. Share with the people today what you have on your mind.
One of the most dangerous things we can do as entrepreneurs and business owners and leaders in businesses when we're responsible for marketing is jump on trends too quickly. And the reason for that is trends are only successful, from a couple places. One, if they're truly from a place of principle and they're helping you deepen your relationship with your audience, then they have some viability.
Mm-hmm.
And secondly, if you're going to capitalize on a trend, you have to be willing to commit significant time, energy, money, and practice to mastering the skill, either yourself or through your team, because it takes thousands of repetitions to become effectively proficient at something, to have the competency. And so many people experience entrepreneurial poverty because they switch trends all the time and they don't understand the depth of skill that's required. And so I encourage people to be careful and intentional if you do decide to follow a trend. If you're going to, make sure you truly invest the time and you get the right expertise and support so you can capitalize on it. And don't just switch direction too quickly just because somebody else is doing it. It doesn't mean it's right for you.
I couldn't have said it better myself. So we see all too often business owners kind of fall victim to, putting all their eggs in one basket when it comes to hopping on trends. We don't necessarily want to do that because we've seen this with the rise of like TikTok and AI, where people are, they go to one mastermind or a Facebook group, or they see one post where you need to be doing this all the time, or you need to be spending all your time here, when in all reality, your target audience may not be on that platform, or at least spend more of their time on a different platform. So it's always good to keep an eye on where the people you're actually looking to serve are spending their time, rather than just listening to fads. And another one I wanted to touch on before we get into this is actually edit that part out. I don't want to talk about that. We'll hop into the section now. So with that being said, I wanted to jump into a few outdated marketing tactics that I talked about with the team that I wanted to share with you guys today. Because sometimes the things that you think are helping your business might actually be holding you back, especially as we progress into 2025 and beyond. But before I dive in, Gabe, are there any outdated marketing tactics that you personally would avoid as we get further into 2025?
The biggest thing to pay attention to is that if we rewind 20 or 30 years, like to when I was early in my entrepreneurial journey, it was effective to just blast marketing out there. Cause like I was in the yellow pages with one of my first businesses, like, which, I would doubt that you've ever opened the yellow pages and called a business out of it, Nathan.
Never opened the yellow pages, but I saw them at my grandma's house. I am in that I'm in that like transitional generation where I saw them, but it was a little bit before me,
Yeah. So in that time, like mass media worked well and you could call your prospect out of mass media. But so the risk that businesses face today is if you still have any operational things going or decisions or beliefs that you can just blast marketing out and the right people will find it, then that's an outdated methodology. The markets are so sophisticated and developed that when it comes to, as an example, selling dog food, you used to be able to just advertise that you sell dog food and dog owners would buy dog food. Now the market is so sophisticated and developed and there's so much awareness of all different products that when you market dog food, the companies that are high end brands speak specifically to dog owners that want like gluten free grains and
Right.
specific types of meat byproducts and all these things. And so just as a simple example, it's really key that you focus on market research and you research your own customer base. They are the ultimate truth in your business. And
Yeah.
that's why we always help our clients survey their audience base, their customer base, because they are the truth of your market. It's an outdated mindset and it's incredibly wasteful and dangerous because you might bring in the wrong people. If you just say, oh, I'm just going to run this advertising to everybody, you won't be effective. The competitors advertising are going to, eat your lunch, so to speak, because
Yeah.
you won't be able to target the right people. And so that's the biggest thing, is really learning to target the right group of people and understand their true desires and beliefs, because my family is of the belief that we want to give our dog the best dog food. Other
True.
families are not in the position. It's okay. They're just different market segment. They just want something cheap and easy and simple. And that's great. But you can't send an ad to me and to the other, family that's buying different stuff
Right.
with just this general messaging or thinking that the right person will catch on to it, because you're blowing 50, 60, 70% of your ad budget and all the marketing labor and time you put into it when you're not targeting with, intention and specificity and around the true beliefs and values and desires of your segment of the market. So the main point is that in the past, we used to be able to just blast marketing out and it was a very different marketing world and the right people would find it. Now the market is so sophisticated, it has all these different segments and niches inside of every niche that you need to have that awareness and know who your audience is inside of your main industry or the niche that you serve.
Yeah, and I think that's really important. I kind of want to dive into that before we get into some of these tips. So, when you said, blasting marketing and things like that, you want to know what it made me think of? Infomercials. When I was growing up, TV was still prevalent, more so than it is now. You would see, Billy Mays or ShamWow and stuff like that, or my grandma, the bane of my grandmother's existence, QVC,
Yep.
right? And so those types of marketing, in my experience, in my view, and tell me if I'm wrong, don't work as well anymore. And I say that because it's like you said, the sophistication is just so elevated and people are a little bit more numb to just like old school marketing that it's become incredibly more nuanced, is what I'll say. Like it's almost like I feel like a lot of business owners struggle with this because it's almost marketing without marketing is how people view it. So what's more important than just being like, get this deal for $5.99? It's more important to have the right color scheme, speak the right languaging, and really like connect with your target audience based on their values rather than old school buy one get one free, or other old school marketing tactics, which I'll let you give your 2 cents on this, still can work. But I feel like my point here is like it's become a lot more nuanced because of the sophistication of the people who are being marketed to, right?
Yeah, exactly. There's still a portion of the market that watches infomercials and buys and does, can buy off of that. And if you know your market and that works, that's great. But the
Right.
reality is like that population is aging out of being the buying power in the marketplace.
Yep.
And the people that have the highest buying power are your generation and a little bit younger than my generation. So like between my age and your age,
Yep.
I'm in my 40s, you're in your 20s. We hold all the buying power.
Yeah.
And in the past, like my parents' generation and grandparents, they could be sold to and talked at, and they trusted that, and it worked, and that was what the market was doing.
Yep.
Now consumers expect to be talked with in open conversation with transparency and real examples, and they want to be educated and brought through a journey. And since we have such significantly higher exposure to advertising and information, we have to be approached in a very different way to influence our buying behavior. And so you're exactly right.
Yeah.
Those things still have a place, but they're a shrinking channel.
Right.
In a lot of overall, that's a shrinking channel. There's spaces that it still works very well, but even that has evolved significantly since the 90s to the 2020s. Those things have shifted quite a bit, and it is nuanced, and you have to know how your customer base, your audience behaves, what they believe, what their lifestyle is, so that you can help them identify with you and your products and services and say, oh, people like me like working with this company. They have to see themselves using your brand. They have to see themselves as being aligned with who you are as a company and with your product services if you want to connect with them and actually have effective marketing.
Yeah, and I think that one really, really important thing that you said is the level of information that we have now. I think that is a big contributing factor to why marketing has become, some might even say, more difficult and nuanced in this generation, because people I grew up with a computer. I think the first time I got a computer, or my family got a computer, I was maybe 5 or 6. You know what I mean? This was 2003, 2004, something like that. And so I have been advertised to in that digital capacity all my life. And so I'm a tough sell. When I look up something, I look up reviews, I do competitor analysis, I do a bunch of stuff before I buy, especially if it's a big purchase. The example Gabe always likes to use is a gaming PC. So this year, I think it was earlier this year, I bought a new gaming PC, and let me tell you, I did days of research, and because I'm an avid video gamer, there's certain things that are important to me when it comes to the specifications of the computer. And if it were just, old school marketing, get this deal, it's this percentage off, and they're just super straightforward about it, I probably wouldn't buy it. And that's just the truth, because I'm so used to growing up in the digital age. I'm so used to being able to get all of that information readily available. And so that's a huge part of marketing, I think. So with that being said, we're going to dive into some common marketing practices that we recommend you avoid, especially as we get further into 2025. One is marketing without tracking performance. This is a big one. So we highly recommend that you make sure you're using tracking tools for every marketing campaign that you have, so leads can be traced back to their source whenever somebody clicks or calls. Gabe, in your opinion, why is that so important for business owners to track the performance of their marketing campaigns?
It's key because with what years ago in my late teens and early 20s we were calling the long tail of products and marketing. It means exactly what you're just explaining. Like we went from having dude, you got a Dell, I remember from a long time ago, which I don't know if that's probably before your time.
Before my time. Catchy though.
To like we had Dells and IBMs, and I don't remember what else. Maybe Gabe. We had 3 computers basically for PCs that you could buy. We went from that to hundreds and thousands of options.
So many.
And so because there's so many options, that means there's also probably an infinite number of ways to market and in channels. From you can put billboards up that are still very successful. You can do direct mail, which is an amazing open channel that I always encourage our clients to explore because you can be highly targeted. You can do SMS marketing. You can do digital marketing on Facebook, Google Ads. You can advertise on a specific website that the majority of your audience may be there, or a big chunk. You can advertise on just one website. There's a million ways to advertise these days, and because there's so many channel opportunities and variations available, it's crucial that you understand which channel is performing the best so you can keep allocating the right majority of funds to that channel. Because if you're doing Google ads, Facebook ads, and you have a billboard and you're doing direct mail, if you just use as an example, and you were just trying to get calls, we'll say for simplicity of the example, if you use your main business phone number and everybody's calling, you don't know if the billboard's working better than the direct mail. You don't know if the Google ads are working better than Facebook or whatever it is. And so there's tracking mechanisms like get a unique number for each channel that you're advertised on. There's obviously tracking mechanisms in digital marketing where we can put tracking and cookies and track URLs. It's crucial that you know at a high accuracy rate, because you'll never have perfect attribution,
Right.
at a high accuracy rate, understanding where things come from, because then you should only be investing, you should be investing the majority of your advertising dollars into what's working best. And it's the 80-20 rule, like put 80% into a few channels that are working well, and then use your 20% to experiment or find a new solution or be forward thinking.
Yeah.
But that's why tracking is crucial, because you should double down on what's working.
Yeah, and I think that one thought that came to mind when you were mentioning that is consistency. You can't create consistency in marketing without tracking, right? Like you said, you could be advertising on multiple different platforms, billboards, email marketing, paid ads, things like that. And if you're not tracking the performance of this and you're actually getting some success, repeating that success is going to be incredibly difficult without that data. So I think that's a really, really important one. And the next one that I have actually kind of ties into that a little bit, and we mention this all the time because it's how we operate. Marketing without research, definite no go. Don't assume you know what your audience wants before you begin your campaigns. Please, it is absolutely crucial. Take the time to know their desires, their pain points, the words they use, what resonates with their personality, what's important to them. Need I go on? I mean, I could go on forever because that is just, it is such a crucial part of what we do at BME, right?
Yeah, and I mean, when we say it and we talk to our clients, they get it and they understand it, and we're having early conversations with potential partner clients when they're a prospect to potentially work with us. It's easy to say, yeah, of course, market research. They understand it, but the depth that you go into market research is key. The demographics is the basics. You need that. And then even more important is the behavioral psychographic things of what's most important to them, successes they've had in life, what they believe. Are they dog or cat owners? Like the real and funny examples, right? But all those things are really key. And the value and importance of doing that level of market research that we are able to serve our clients with is that it helps you remove bias as a business owner. And I'll give a great example because I was having a great conversation with one of our clients this week, and we were both talking about how my client, she's not big into video consumption.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not either. I probably watch 20 minutes of video a day, maybe 30 minutes, and it's just not my preferred format of how I learn or what I want to engage with. However, we both recognize as we're having the conversation, her target audience spends a significant amount of time on TikTok. They're from like 45 to 65, and a huge demographic on Facebook, on TikTok. There's a portion on YouTube. And so she was, when working with us, developed that self-awareness that she is not her customer. And
right.
We hear that, but then we need to peel back the layers of bias of knowing that how I want to be advertised to may or may not have any relevance to how my customer base wants to be advertised to. And that's how market research can inform and support and help you make really strategic decisions and not just personal preference or personal bias decisions.
That's incredibly important. If you guys take away anything from today's episode, take that away, is because we find that it is a natural human behavior to, put your influence or how you feel into everything you do, including your work, especially as an entrepreneur. But the gold in marketing is your target audience, especially people who have actually paid for your services or products before. That is the bread and butter of how you can market to those people. Because I was just having a conversation earlier today where somebody thought, he was like, oh, you do this customer research survey and this customer research process to remarket to those people. I'm like, well, kind of, but it's really to target more people who are like that, because there are billions of people on the planet. A lot of them are going to have similarities in psychographic traits that are cohesive with one another, that can be tracked and be able to market to those people. That's the beauty of it. There are people that will have similar values, similar preferences on visuals on websites, and similar sales funnels that will resonate with them. And the important thing is that may not be how you buy. You may be from a completely different generation, a completely different type of person. I know you said you don't consume a lot of video. I consume kind of a lot of video. I grew up right when YouTube came out. I'm huge on YouTube. A lot of people in my generation are
Yeah,
people born in that late 90s, early 2000s. We're on YouTube all the time. And so if I see something on YouTube that I like, I may buy it. But if somebody's targeting you, Gabe, in your demographic, your psychographic, whatever that may be, and they're focusing all of their ad budget on YouTube, and you're spending 20 minutes a day on YouTube,
good
that's
luck.
a waste of money,
Yep.
a huge waste of money. And so
Yeah.
we really, really encourage you guys not to do that. And so that's why doing your research is really, really important. So another one I wanted to touch on, and I actually touched on a little bit earlier about like the nuance of marketing and marketing without marketing. Being too formal can be a detriment these days, which is crazy to say because like 10, 20 years ago, everybody likes formal, clean cut campaigns and things like that. But these days, authenticity has been working extremely well for us and our audience, especially you, Gabe. Can you talk a little bit about like your experience with making that shift to being a little less formal and more authentic in your social media and your marketing?
Yeah, I've definitely, in quite a few years past now, fortunately, had seasons where I thought I had to show up, acting like a certain way or being a certain way. And that's an old world view that doesn't really serve us, because if we rewind to before the internet was mainstream and popular, and we're in the 80s and 90s, there was kind of like this hidden shroud of what goes on behind the closed doors in a business, and where the magic happens, right? And nothing
Right.
like that was that era. But today, everybody can easily find out what it's like to run a marketing agency at some level, have some awareness, or what it's like inside of a law firm, or what it's like running a home services company in whatever space you're in, or any professional services space, or even other professions. And so pretending that everything's perfect, which is not authentic, is
No.
really what's going to hold you back, and people won't trust you. Whereas if you just show up as your true honest self, here's my wins, here's my successes, here's the things I didn't do well in the past, here's the lessons we're learning, these are things that our company or team is really good at delivering, these are things that we don't do, or we would recommend you work with somebody else on. That just proves that you're a real human running a real honest flawed business.
Exactly.
I run a flawed business. There's always pieces that we're trying to improve and grow. And when you show up that way, then people trust you, because they're like, oh, they are like me, they're normal, they're human, they're not perfect. I'd rather work with somebody that's honest and authentic than work with somebody that's always trying to show off, or have the perfect image, because there is no such thing.
Nope.
And so you can dramatically elevate distrust when you're trying to come off too polished. And there's a difference between positioning from a place of confidence that you can solve and serve and deliver, than positioning from a place of like, we have it all together and we run a $100 million company when you haven't made $1 million or whatever it is. Those things just shoot you in the foot so many times, because people can tell when you're being authentic and honest. They can hear it and feel it. It doesn't matter what words you say. It doesn't matter how you're dressed, or how you're shooting your video, or taking your pictures, or writing your content. They just know. And so all of that stuff comes from not only a place of intention, of choosing just to be your honest self. You can put your best foot forward. There's nothing wrong with that. But being your honest, authentic self makes people trust you, and they will be attracted to you, versus trying to show up too perfect or too polished is actually hurting all of your marketing and branding that you're putting out there.
We, as humans, we're very intuitive and very perceptive, especially these days. And so authenticity works. That's why you see, I brought this example up before, but I want to touch on it again. There was an example of a business that I came across that had a TikTok page for their business where they just shared, product development, stuff about their products, facilities, and stuff like that. And then there was one for the owner of the company, and they were actually really good with social media, vlogging about their day, talking to their coworkers, doing things like that. The person who was authentic and like sharing their day-to-day life about working in this business and owning this business had triple the amount of followers and interaction than just the business page. Not to say that your business page can't work, but that's how important it is in this day and age to be yourself and show people that you're a human being. They will relate to you. They will, it can honestly encourage them to, partner up with your business or buy your products, because they can relate to you on a way of like, I'm a regular guy just like him. He just happens to own this business.
Yep.
Same way with you, Gabe. And so I think that that's really important. Um, and so, folks, I wanted to touch on this too is remember, it's okay to make mistakes. Like, we all make mistakes. And that's a part of living authentically is, sometimes showcasing your mistakes. What is really key on that is learning from them and adapting accordingly. If you guys are interested in learning really all the wins and mistakes that our team shares each week, we have a link in the description below where you can subscribe to our newsletter. Our team works super hard. It's an amazing newsletter. And it's different because we base everything that we send out on real experience, real data, and real research, real world activities, authentically. And so marketing is an investment, as we know. We don't want to waste your money or your time with ideas that don't work. That's why we not only share our successes, but our failures too. And so if you guys want to check that out, we're real people just like you, and we would love to have you on the newsletter. But Gabe, it would not be an episode of the Marketer's Blueprint podcast without talking about our wins. And we have had some honestly amazing wins this week. So this week with two of our clients, Olivino Life and Six Packs Gym, we delivered some truly incredible results for our clients. I was just reading about these earlier. We got one e-commerce wellness client, the sales they were after actually pretty quickly from when they signed on with us. And another client in the health industry is seeing plenty of signups with high quality leads. So with being involved in both of these projects, Gabe, what are your thoughts on these wins? How was this achievable for us?
Yeah, the first thing I really want to highlight is that both of these clients have had a very typical experience, unfortunately, where in the past, they struggle with marketing. They had people that they were working with that didn't understand market research, didn't understand how to be methodical and persistent and run processes and build marketing over time and build it up to success. And so they'd had some very expensive, very unfortunate experiences. But the reason that they're winning and they're successful is that they understood our process and they were willing to commit to it, and they're willing to treat marketing as a long-term investment. And so that's the basis of their success. And from that, we were able to complete, that deep market research and give them a really crystal clear picture of their perfect target audience.
Yeah.
Because, with Olivino Life, they're in the supplement space. That is a crowded space. But when you do your market research, you can have a ton of success in that space, and you can beat your competitors because your customers want to buy from you for a reason, and we're able to uncover that and speak to that. And same thing with Six Packs. They run a very unique, very effective, fitness program and an amazing culture inside their gym. And so when we really drilled in and understood who their target audience was, we were able to elevate our clients' understanding of the target audience that they serve best. And we're then really able to represent that back in the advertising and to the community that they serve. And so by following the process of market research and by sticking with the process of learning, testing, failing, and ultimately winning as we optimize our campaigns and as our team just pays amazing attention to that stuff and is constantly optimizing and improving and learning, that's why they're getting stable results. That's why they now are, achieving that goal that we have for every client partnership of having a business marketing engine that where they can turn the dial and get more leads and get more clients. And so our clients are the success here. They were willing to give it another try with marketing, even though they didn't have great partners in the past. They were willing to trust our process, and then they truly were able to see the deeper insights and the truth inside of market research. And because of that, we've been able to reflect that in their campaigns. And they're now in a very stable place where they have control of marketing in a healthy way, which means that they have control of how many leads, how many customers they're getting, and now they are driving their business instead of it being the ups and downs of not being sure how you're going to acquire great customers. So huge wins all around, and just huge kudos to both of those business owners for being willing to operate their marketing from a place of principle. And that's ultimately what can help you win.
Hey, one thing I've learned in life in my short tenure here on this earth is that every relationship takes two. And that goes with a marketing company and a business owner. Why I tell everybody, it takes both of us. They're the experts in what they do, whether that's owning a gym or a supplemental business, and we're the experts in marketing. And when you collaborate well with those two things, that's where the true, business marketing engines come into play. And so I love that little tie-in. And so, guys, if you liked the video, throw it a thumbs up for us. It really does help us out. Share it with your friends. We always love to have more new friendly faces here on the family. And if you would subscribe to the channel, especially over on YouTube, it helps us out a lot. We put out a new podcast every Friday, and we would love to have more people join. And also, again, if you guys want a dedicated team of experts working around the clock for your business, click the link below and I would love to have a chat with you, learn about your business and some of the things that you've been going through. Also, if you would like to see the exact process that we used to generate winning results like we just spoke about in our last section, you can download our free 7-figure sales funnel guide down below that has a lot of really, really good information about creating sales funnels, which is an integral part of marketing, as we always say. And finally, again, if you would like to join our free newsletter where we put out awesome tips, resources, and strategies, there will be a link below for that as well. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. Gabe, it was lovely to see you again, and we will see you all next week.
See you, everyone.
Bye-bye.